So, he talks a lot of things about your security in life needs to be developed from inside of you. What does that mean? If you want security in life, it's what? If you build the man or the woman from the inside out, from a skill set standpoint, by practicing, role-playing, learning, studying, then guess what happens? Your security in life can't be taken away.
Hey, this is Blake Sloan. I've been selling real estate over 14 years. Our team of highly trained professionals, along with our unmatched marketing, has sold thousands of homes here in the Myrtle Beach area, and this is how we do it.
Right? They can take real estate away, can take anything away, but all of a sudden you're going to be successful no matter what you do. And so you got to focus on building that man or woman on the inside out, which is super important. But what happens is, as you do that in real estate, what happens to your confidence and certainty? It goes up, which goes up along with your paycheck, right? And so the problem is you have to constantly keep sharpening that sword. Some of y'all, right, get dull because you don't continue to sharpen the sword. You get really good at it, learn natural skill set, and all of a sudden my sword gets dull because I'm not sharpening it, and that's why it gets a little more frustrating and not quite as easy. That's when deals start falling apart. That's when leads start not to convert because I'm not sharpening the sword consistently. It's to get me where I need to get. Okay? But that's a different part. Right? But that part goes in belief. One of the great objections I think is important. It's good for the seller side too. It's just a great objection handler. Commission's too high or price is too high. You guys might get this on the buy side going forward, right? As buyer agency changes a little bit. But one of the objections is price is too high. Who knows how to overcome that? Or who knows what said in that way? It's a really good one. When I hear you say the commission is too high, what you're saying is price is important to you. Is that correct? What are they going to say? Right? Or you can say commission. When I hear you say the commission is too high, what you're saying is price is important to you. Is that correct? Yes. Is money your biggest concern? What are they going to say? Yes. Right? Then doing it right once is more important than doing it twice with some amateur. Am I right? That's powerful. What am I doing there? I'm eliminating everybody else and making the cheap one look like an amateur. So then doing it right once is more important than doing it wrong twice with some amateur. Am I right? Yes. How much money and energy do you want to waste with some amateur doing a bad job? Say it again. How much money and energy do you want to waste with some amateur doing a bad job? This is the same thing. If you guys get an objection on 3.5%, guess what you're going to say? This same exact thing. If you're a listing and they get a problem with 7% or 6%, guess what I'm going to say? This right here. And it works in that scenario. They are needing your certainty in terms of what they do. So I'll start over. When I hear you say the commission is too high, what you're saying is price is important to you. Question mark. Is that correct? They're going to say what? Yes. Is money your biggest concern? Question mark. This is an easy one to remember too. Then doing it right once is more important than doing it wrong twice with some amateur. Am I right? This is very valuable for the listing side. What's that? Yeah. Then doing it right once is more important than doing it twice with some amateur. Am I right? How much money and energy do you want to waste with some amateur doing a bad job? This is money right here. I mean, can you imagine saying this to the seller? Right? How much money and energy do you want to waste with some amateur doing a bad job? I want you to write in parentheses, this is where you're going to flip the switch. You pick up your tonality, you say, our company is different, and you're going to see that. And then you pull it, you say, guys, this is going to be our first transaction, one of many. Are you ready to put a true professional to work? And then what are you going to do? Shake their hand. Simple certainty close there. You don't have some random crazy that you got to say. You're just making sure that you're doing what? Breaking it up, explain the logic to them, and then you're upping the energy. They're needing your certainty at that point. Why is that? Because they already said no, they don't want to waste time with some amateur. Right? How much money and energy do you want to waste with some amateur doing a bad job? None. Great. Our company's different. You're going to see that. Right? Guys, this is going to be our first transaction, one of many, but you're going to see how a true professional and how our company truly operates. You ready to put me to work? Boom. Why is it okay to shake their hand right there? Because you just told me they didn't want to work with some amateur that's cheaper. And then if they say, well, if they give you more objection, what can you say? Let me ask you this. If they're a true professional that were elite in what they do, would they actually charge you 4 or 5%? No. And we can explain why. If they're they actually have no money to market with. Let's do the mathematics on it. Let's look them up. Whatever it is in that scenario. You got it written down? Think that would help on the listing side? Super simple, super easy. This takes us doing what? Practice. I got another one that's really good for you guys too. All right, next one is, I want to talk with someone else. I want to talk to another realtor. Anybody have that? All right, this is a good one. This is a good one. Anybody remember this one? You remember this one? No, this is good. That's why I want to teach you today. It's good. No, it goes. Now they say, well, yeah, I want to talk to another person. We'll go somewhere else. Yeah. Yeah. So you remember what the objection handler is? Don't look it up. I'll give you this super simple. You see, I totally understand. Hey, let me ask you this. If you lost your keys and then found them, would you keep looking? Pretty strong, right? Let me ask you this. If you lost your keys and then found them, would you keep looking? And they're going to laugh a little bit, and you're going to close them harder. So you say, hey, I totally understand. Let me ask you this. If you lost your keys and then found them, would you keep looking? Absolutely not. And you're going to write down what they're looking for, right? So I kind of wrote this in. I said you're probably looking for a company to come in, someone you want to do business with that will do a phenomenal job, that will give you 5-star service, take great care of your home, make sure everything is handled correctly, and get you the most amount of money for your home. Is that correct? Yes. So for you, just write that toward the buyer side or seller side, whatever you want. I'll say it again. So just write this. You are probably looking for a company to come in, ... And I wrote somebody you want to do business with that will do a phenomenal job, that will give 5-star service, that will take great care of your home, make sure everything's handled correctly, and get you the most amount of money for your home. Is that correct? And this is similar to what I used to say. I see on the radio every week, but this is a good one too. So that's just a transition point. You guys with me on this? So that transition point for me there was you're probably looking for a company to come in, somebody you want to do business with that will do a phenomenal job, that will give 5-star service, that will take great care of your home, make sure everything's handled correctly, and get you the most amount of money for your home. Correct? Yes. I don't know about you, but if I had to get brain surgery, I'd want the best brain surgeon. And if there is a side note, if they're worried about cost, guess what I would add to the end of that? Not the cheapest. Right? If you get brain surgery, you want the best brain surgeon, you want the cheapest brain surgeon. Right? I usually do that with a doctor or a lawyer on my radio show, but it's very important. This is a good one. This is another really good one. So you got that part. I don't know about you, but if I had to get brain surgery, I want the best brain surgeon. Would you agree? Yes. Here's the next one. If my kids had to get their teeth worked on, I want the best dentist. Would you agree? Yes. I'm loosening them up with what there? A bunch of yeses and trial closes. Here goes the closed part. The same should go for you and your largest asset. Would you agree? Or you can don't say would you agree. Sorry, I had one more. The same thing should go for you and your largest asset. Here's where it gets nasty. Ready? Important things need to be handled by professionals, not amateurs. Would you agree? So what I'm doing there, up in the stakes. Important things need to be handled by professionals, not amateurs. Would you agree? Great. Let me show you what a true professional looks like and get the job done. And then what do? Shake their hand. So I'm just saying, like, everybody needs it. It's valuable. But yes, you could use it on the seller side especially, which we'll talk about that in a minute. So I want to talk to another realtor. I want to talk to somebody else. I like what you say. It's not sure. I want to talk to somebody else.
Lost your keys, keep looking for them later.
I totally understand. Let me ask you this.
I totally understand. If you haven't lost your keys, would you keep looking for them later?
Yeah, start with what's the transition?
Obviously, I missed it.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because you don't want to seem like you're combative, right? So yeah, I totally understand. Let me ask you this. If you lost your keys and then found them, would you keep looking for them? Absolutely not.
You're probably looking for a company, ...
Yep. You're probably looking for a company too, and you guys want to add your own stuff. For me, I said to come in, somebody that you want to do business with, that would do a phenomenal job, that give 5-star service, can take great care of your home, and make sure everything's handled correctly and get the most amount of money for your home. I don't know about you, but if I had to get brain surgery, I want the best brain surgeon. Would you agree? Yes. If my kids had to get their teeth worked on or get braces on, I want the best dentist. Would you agree? Yes. The same thing should go for you and your largest asset. Important things need to be handled by professionals, not amateurs. Would you agree? Yes. Right? What'd you say? Let me show you what a professional truly looks like and get the job done. And then I'll shake their hand. What are you looking for there? Your certainty in them, and they're needing your certainty to say yes. And you can use that same close on the commission one too. That's why I had it written back to back with them. So you'd say the same thing at that very end. Great, let me show you what a true professional looks like and get the job done. And we're talking about what here? I want you guys to get this language in your patterns, which is what? What are the key words I just talked about in both of those examples? Amateurs, professionals. You're professional, everyone else is what? Amateur. Professionals and amateurs. Because no one wants to work with what? An amateur. And so you have a chip on your shoulder a little bit and say, look, here's the deal. You want a professional or you want an amateur? Well, I want a professional. Great. Which one do you think costs more? Professional all day long. Right? And I was talking about this a lot lately. Like, my attorney is very expensive. And guess what he does when he sends me a bill? Does he feel guilty? No. Why? Because he's what? Professional. He's good. Right? We want to have that chip on our shoulder in that scenario because you are good. We study here. Everybody else is messing off today. They don't have any really guidance in that scenario. Right? And there's no training, no anything. I interviewed a guy yesterday from another real estate company, came from Maryland, and he's like, dude, I don't get nothing over there. Because I know one of my brokers, she's asking me questions. Right? And so the reality is we're here training, we're grinding, so you deserve it, and you are a true professional. Why? Because you practice, listen to audios. Right? You study MLS, and so you want to have that mindset because we do outwork most agents in what they do and how we operate. Okay? But those two closes I think are very powerful. I would use those this Wednesday in your role play to make sure you can get those knocked down. They're super simple in that scenario. But one thing I also talked about, which I thought was important, is that people love you until you talk about money. People love you when you talk about money, and so what does that mean? What do you got to do there? No, you always got to talk about money because where are we in the business of? Money, which is real estate, right? And so what do I want to make sure I'm doing there? Just remember when you talk about money, they're going to turn on you a little bit, and that's okay. You got to know that you got to go back and reinstate the relationship. Reinstate the relationship. What does that mean? Reconnect with them, right? And just understand that they get scared when money comes up and commitment comes up. We're talking about 12-month agreements, 3.5%. We're talking 6-month agreements, 6 or 7%, right? It's very important for us to understand that. Okay? So just understand when people talk about money, right? They're going to love you, think you're the best, nicest person in the world, but it comes time to do what? To sign and talk about money, what happens to them? They're going to back off and they're going to turn on you a little bit. And just know that's okay. It's my job as a salesperson, as a closer, to go back in and reinstate the relationship. So I'm okay getting the objection. I cushion that emotionally, right? I understand, hey, no big deal. We're talking about money right now, so they're going to be scared. And so my job is to have the certainty and the connection with them, smoothly use my objection handlers, and make sure we go back and re-engage them. Okay? That's just a defense negative. It's a kind of a sales secret that people love you until you talk about money. When you talk about money, you must go back in and reinstate the relationship. Make sense? Which I think is super powerful to understand. All right.
How do you reinstate? How do you go back in?
So I think you'd be like, depending on what the objection is, I'm going to handle that, but just know energetically, right? I want to make sure I'm coming back to them and just, because here's what happens. What most people do is they get the objection. What do they kind of do? They either, as the agent, right, as a salesperson, they either get defensive or they get scared because they don't really know how to do it. And so sometimes people get triggered. And so what I want to do is make sure that emotionally I'm just smooth, cool, calm, and collected. In the back of my head, what am I saying? No big deal. Right? We're talking about money, and so I'm going to go back in. I'm going to handle that objection. I'm going to come back just from a connection standpoint and say, hey, remember when we talked about? And then take them back to that point when you guys had rapport earlier or connection earlier. Remember we talked about how it's important for you and your family to get this property sold and get back to Jacksonville to your grandkids? This is how we're going to help you do that. Right? Whatever their why is, I want to relate my connection to their why and how I'm going to help them get there. And that would come from what? My discovery on the front end.